I woke up this morning sweating because I had a nightmare that my checking account tried to sue me for neglect. I'm here in Texas, and I see the handwriting on the wall. 2025 is shaping up to be the year where I need maximum bang for minimum buck, and I'm betting my future on something old, reliable, and dirt cheap when I buy it in bulk, the 38 Special. So why would I, a certified connoisseur of high-speed, low-drag kinetic energy, downgrade to a round that started life as a black powder cartridge back in 1898? It's simple, really. I'm smart. And I've run the numbers, which means I've figured out how to keep my skills sharp without having to sell off one of my kidneys just to feed my range habit. The 38 Special isn't just old, it's the ultimate survivalist's secret weapon, offering a legendary balance of accuracy and manageable recoil that makes it perfect for both personal defense and cheap practice when I need to stretch those last few dollars. I need a cartridge that allows me to shoot and train consistently, and I've realized that training with this timeless caliber is the single smartest move I can make right now, especially when I see the bulk prices floating around. Look, I didn't choose the 38 Special because I live in the past, though I do own a classic S&W Model 36, so maybe I partially do. I chose it because I'm facing a world where dollars disappear faster than a stray cat at a dog convention, and the 38 Special offers financial resilience that my high-velocity, hyper-expensive Magnum cartridges just can't touch. I need to stack deep, and when I look at the pricing structure, buying in bulk is where I see the real savings potential. For example, I've seen 50-round boxes of the new 38 Special 125-grain flat point, FP, starting around $17.52, which comes out to about 35 cents per round. But if I commit to stacking deep with a 500-round bulk box of 125-grain FP, that price dips down to approximately 33 cents per round, even if they are currently sold out in that quantity. That's 2 cents per round I just saved, and in 2025, every cent counts if I want to afford gas for my truck. I recognize that the 38 Special is a legendary revolver cartridge that has been around for well over a century. It served as the standard service cartridge for most U.S. police departments from the 1920s all the way into the early 1990s, so I trust its pedigree. Despite its age, I can still find a tremendous variety of ammunition for it, ranging from 105 grains up to 158 grains, including hollow point, FP, and XTP options. When I talk about versatility, I mean I can use this caliber for target shooting, CCW and a snub nose, and even some small game hunting. The fact that it's often chambered in revolvers that can also handle its larger sibling, the .357 Magnum, is an added bonus for me. I can practice low-cost, low-recoil shooting with the 38 Special in my .357 Magnum gun, which is great for building consistent habits, though I would never, ever make the mistake of trying to put .357 Magnum in a gun rated only for 38 Special. I acknowledge that the revolver cartridge life isn't as popular as it once was, but revolver lovers like me keep coming back to this round for personal defense and range time. I realize that if I want some extra power, I have the option of choosing a plus P round. This offers me the financial flexibility to choose between inexpensive standard pressure loads for general practice or slightly spicier plus P loads when I feel the need for higher velocity and terminal performance. I'm talking about a round that is just enough for defense without punishing me with excessive recoil, especially when I consider the standard options. When I choose an inexpensive round like the 38 Special, I'm choosing volume, and in 2025, volume beats exclusivity, because I need to train often if I want to maintain proficiency. I've heard all the jokes about the 38 Special being slow, and honestly, they're often right, especially out of a tiny 1 7/8-inch snub-nose barrel. But I've learned that slow and steady wins the race, particularly when I'm training, which is why I focus on low-cost options that mimic my carry rounds but allow me to shoot hundreds without breaking my budget or my wrist. I consider practice ammunition like Federal's American Eagle 38 Special 130-grain FMJ to be perfectly fine for getting used to a new revolver or just killing time and punching paper at the range. Since I am concerned with controlling cost, I find that Federal's American Eagle line is well known for being affordable and it keeps the recoil manageable, a crucial point when I'm practicing fundamental skills. When I want to step up the accuracy for target shooting or competition, I look straight at wadcutter rounds. I consider a wadcutter round like the Cellier & Belleau 38 Special 148 grain WC to be an excellent choice because the flat front cuts nice clean holes in paper targets, making scoring easier when I compete. I know the low recoil of these rounds makes fast, accurate follow-up shots easier, which is something I value highly, and it also makes them great for beginners getting used to the recoil impulse of a revolver. Even better, I've seen training rounds like the Blazer 38 Special 125 grain FMJ noted for their low recoil, meaning I can fire hundreds from a short 2-inch barrel without getting sore hands. I know some shooters, myself included, look for training rounds that are ballistically similar to my high-performance carry ammo. I'm willing to pay more for my defense rounds, but for range use, I rely on the inexpensive options. For example, the Blazer FMJ rounds have similar flight characteristics to hollow-point bullets in similar weights, making them an adequate supplement to my carry ammo without the steep cost. However, I have to remember that FMJ rounds, particularly the 130 grain flavor, are generally worthless for defense and should be reserved only for the range, a lesson learned decades ago by the Air Force.
I believe the emphasis on low recoil is key to training effectiveness. I've heard about the Hornady Critical Defense Light Load, which uses a light 80 or 90 grain FTX projectile and is specifically designed for recoil-sensitive shooters. While testing showed that the light version had significantly less power than the standard critical defense, it was much more pleasant to shoot, proving that if I want lighter recoil, I must be willing to sacrifice power. If I want to maximize my training volume in 2025, keeping the recoil light with rounds like the Wadcutter or FMJ allows me to maintain focus on accuracy and follow-through, rather than just bracing for the next shot. I believe that my ability to accurately place shots matters more than the specific bullet I have in the chamber. If I'm going to bet my life on the 38 Special, I'm not using those old round-nose lead Widowmakers. I demand modern, technologically advanced rounds, particularly the Plus P loads that deliver reliable performance even out of the short barrels I prefer for concealed carry. The biggest challenge I face with the 38 Special is getting hollow points to reliably expand at the relatively low velocities generated by my short-barreled revolvers. I've seen tests where older 158 grain Plus P hollow points failed to achieve expansion threshold when fired from a 1 7/8 inch barrel, producing expansion that was minimal to non-existent. This is why I rely on modern engineering to maximize my stopping power in a smaller caliber. When I look for the best self-defense options, I consider 3 main contenders that rely on cutting-edge design. 1. Hornady Critical Defense Plus P 110 grain FTX. I consider the Hornady Critical Defense Plus P 110 grain FTX round to be the best overall defensive option because it uses a technologically advanced bullet, hits hard and fast, and comes from a brand I trust. This FTX bullet features a polymer plug inside the hollow point cavity. This unique flex tip technology prevents the hollow point from clogging up with debris or heavy clothing before entering the target, which is crucial for reliable expansion. The 110 grain bullet is fast, achieving velocities of 959 feet per second out of a snub nose in some tests, which transfers kinetic energy efficiently. I've seen this round demonstrated to hit reasonably close to where non-adjustable sights are aligned in testing, which is a major factor in my ammunition selection criteria. I recognize that the Plus P loading results in some snappy recoil, but the consistent, uniform expansion I've seen in tests makes it worth the kick.
2. Federal Personal Defense HST Micro Plus P 130 grain jacketed hollow point bullet. This round is loaded with a 130 grain jacketed hollow point bullet that delivers an average expanded diameter of 0.72 inches, which is substantially wider than any other round measured in certain tests. The unique totally flat tip with the hollow recessed back into the case helps control the powder's burn rate. While the penetration is sometimes barely above the FBI standard of 12 inches, logging 12.66 inches in one test, I know that this bullet's massive expansion ensures a wide wound channel. This round was designed specifically for snub noses, though I've seen it work well in longer barrels too, such as a 6-inch barrel, where it offers manageable recoil despite being a Plus P load. Spear Gold Dot is the round I choose when I want to split the difference perfectly between penetration and expansion, and it's trusted by law enforcement organizations, which tells me it's reliable. The short barrel load uses an electrochemically bonded jacket, which promotes effective penetration through barriers and ensures reliable terminal expansion. This round has logged an average penetration of 13.74 inches and a shot diameter of 0.57 inches in testing, firmly within the FBI's desired 12 to 18-inch penetration window. I trust that Spear Gold Dot ammo is loaded with high-quality components, and I appreciate that the price point is often reasonable compared to other premium options. If I'm worried about reliability when my family's lives are on the line, I'm choosing one of these modern, verified JHP loads regardless of the slightly increased cost. My final choice, and perhaps the most recession-friendly option that maximizes terminal effectiveness while minimizing cost and recoil, is the specialized defensive wadcutter. In 2025, when I want to train volume and carry a round that doesn't rely on finicky velocity thresholds, the wadcutter steps up. The core principle of a wadcutter is that it doesn't need to expand to be effective. The sharp, flat shoulder of the bullet cuts a full-caliber hole and penetrates deeply, creating a cookie-cutter effect. I know I can choose an incredibly low recoil option like the match wadcutters from the major manufacturers for target practice. However, for defense, I'm looking at modern, harder cast defensive loads, like the Georgia AM's Ultimate Defense 38 Special Snub-Nose 148 grain wadcutter. This load was specifically designed for maximum velocity and penetration out of short 1 7/8-inch barrels while minimizing recoil in my lightweight revolvers. I found that using cast bullets gives me more velocity than jacketed bullets of the same weight because they generate less friction, which is a huge advantage in a velocity-handicapped snuddy.
I've seen how effective these hard-cast wadcutters are. They were reported to penetrate 15.75 inches in bare gel and 14.5 inches after 4 layers of denim when fired from a Ruger LCR, which is phenomenal deep penetration, especially when compared to some .357 Magnum loads. This deep penetration is exactly what I need, as wadcutters stand a great chance of consistently reaching vital areas without relying on expansion, which I know is difficult to achieve in short .380 special barrels. The biggest draw for me, especially in a lightweight aluminum J-frame, is the low recoil. This specialized Georgia AM's wadcutter loading was reported to provide a noticeable increase in velocity, 51 to 89 FPS, over the standard match loads without a discernible bump in recoil, striking a sweet spot for balance and control. I even know of shooters who carry wadcutters in their lightweight snub-nosed revolvers precisely because they find it makes no sense to stoke them with high recoil plus P or .357 Magnum rounds, even if the gun can technically handle it. I found that wadcutters also offer a huge advantage for my fixed-sight revolvers. They tend to hit at the point of aim. Traditionally, most fixed-sight .380s were zeroed for 158 grain cast bullets, and wadcutters generally hit to roughly the same point of impact, which is a critical piece of the accuracy puzzle that often gets overlooked. I do have to be aware of the drawback. Wadcutters are tricky to reload from a speed loader under stress because of their flat profile. But for the first 5 or 6 shots that are already in the cylinder of my little carry revolver, I believe these hard-cast wadcutters are hard to beat, particularly if I choose to carry a round-nose FMJ for my emergency reloads, which is easier to find the charge hole quickly. The fact that they offer superior terminal performance and deep penetration without relying on expensive, velocity-dependent jacketed designs makes them the perfect, sensible, recession-proof defensive choice for my snubby. So, I've laid out my case for the 38 Special being the smartest ammo buy for 2025. It's the recession caliber because it allows me to train cheaply using bulk, low-recoil target rounds, and when I need defense, modern plus P options or specialty wadcutters deliver performance that consistently meets or exceeds FBI penetration standards, even from short barrels. I get reliable performance and historical pedigree, developed in 1898, standard police round for decades, without the excessive cost of exotic calibers. I've personally found the best approach is to stock the most effective and accurate ammunition that I can shoot confidently in my firearm, ensuring that I practice enough to place my shots where I want them. I need to get myself and my gun out to the range, verify my point of aim and point of impact with whatever I choose, and realize that my financial stability and my personal defense capability are both maximized by choosing this humble, affordable, and timeless round. The .38 Special isn't just surviving the modern ammo market, I'm using it to game the system.